Australian consumer prices gained more than economists forecast last quarter, sending the nation's currency higher as investors pair bets the central bank will cut interest rates. The trimmed mean gauge of core prices rose 0.7% from the previous quarter, the Bureau of Statistics said in Sydney today, compared with the median forecast of 26 economists for a 0.6% gain. The Consumer Price Index advanced 1.4% from the previous 3 months, compared with a forecast 1% increase. Traders price in a 77% chance of a rate reduction November 6, down from 95. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Yesterday, swaps data compiled by Bloomberg showed after the figures were released. Reserve Bank of Australia Governor Glenn Stevens lowered borrowing costs in May and June as Europe's debt crisis threatened global growth and China's economy slowed, and again this month. There's still risk of inflation, although people seem to think the inflation genie has been killed, Warwick McKibben, the former member of the RBA's board, said at a Citigroup Incorporated conference in Sydney today. There is still a very strong inflationary impulse inside the Australian economy, and that's something that the central bank needs to worry. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. About currency reaction. The nation's currency advanced, buying $1.0290 at 12:16 p.m. in Sydney compared with $1.0274 immediately before the report. Today's report showed a 3.2% increase in the cost of housing, which is the biggest component of the index. It showed electricity prices surged 15.3% in the period. Median weekly rents for houses rose 1.6% and apartments climbed 0.2% in the 3 months ended September 30, according to Sydney-based researcher Australian Property Monitors. Australia also started charging its largest polluters for carbon emissions on July 1 as the nation aims to thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Meet its target of a 5% cut in emissions from 2000 levels by 2020. The cost of food and non-alcoholic drinks, which at 16.8% is the second biggest component in the consumer price basket, advanced 1.9%, the report showed. Food prices. Woolworths Limited, while Australia's largest retailer, posted the fastest first-quarter sales growth from supermarkets opened at least a year since 2009 as promotions and higher food prices drove revenue. Growth was helped by a return of food inflation, after 3 consecutive quarters of declining prices, Grant O'Brien, Woolworth's chief executive officer, said in an October thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. 18 Analyst briefing. The cost of transport, which includes motor vehicles and automotive fuel and accounts for 11.6% of the basket, fell 0.8%, the report showed, as automotive fuel dropped 3.9%. The weighted median gauge of inflation, another core measure that excludes the largest price increases and declines, advanced 0.8% in the third quarter, compared with economists' estimates for a 0.6% gain. That nudged the annual rate to 2.6% versus a forecast 2.2% rise. On an annual basis, the trimmed mean gauge advanced 2.4%, compared with economists' forecasts for a thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. 2.2% increase. RBA target that lifted average core inflation to 2.5% on an annual basis, in the middle of the central bank's target range of 2% to 3%. The CPI increased 2% in the third quarter from a year earlier, compared with economists' forecast a 1.6% increase, today's report showed. The Statistics Bureau released a seasonally adjusted consumer price index that showed a 1.2% increase last quarter, for an annual gain of 2%. The RBA said in minutes of its October meeting last week that it saw thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Signs the pace of global growth had edged down. The board observed that the outlook for inflation was consistent with the 2% to 3% target range over the next 1 to 2 years, the minutes showed. Even after this month's rate cut, Stevens has among the most monetary firepower among major developed economies. Benchmark rates are near zero in the US and Japan, 0.5% in the UK, 0.75% in the euro area, 1% in Canada and 2.5% in New Zealand.